Hi everyone, I'm Zeiss, and on this channel I turn you into an RPG master. So if that's something you're interested in and you haven't done so already, make sure to smash the subscribe button and keep in touch. Now, some of you asked me how I will change Bone Spear for Season 5, so here it goes. Okay, gear. Of course, we're gonna use the Deathless Visage here because it's a build enabling unique because of the explosions that this helmet provides. Socket with ruby, masterworking. The better things to masterwork here I think are maximum essence and damage reduction. But maximum essence, more resource, always better, and in our case it also increases the damage because of ossified essence. Moving on to the chest piece, I would be using Undying Aspect with intelligence, life, essence per second, tamper total armor, or this thing here, uh, spiked armor. I believe spiked armor is better, but it's up to you, right? Lucky hit to stun, socket with rubies, the glove, attack speed, critical strike chance, and bone spear. Then tamper, uh, critical strike damage, a chance to stun with ossified essence, serration aspect, right? Temerity pants. The masterworking here, I believe the best thing would be to masterwork life. Moving on to the boots, metamorphosis on the boots with +2 rate charges, essence per second, movement speed, and then life or dodge chance. Both could work, but dodge chance might be better, it could save you a lot. Tampering here, chance to stun, and also movement speed. The weapon, it would be a wand. You will notice that it currently the implicit is lucky hit. This is because it's on not in the PTR. It's on Season 4 Hardcore on the retail version, but it will provide vulnerable damage. So intelligence, life, critical strike damage, bone, critical strike damage, tampering, and chance for bone spear projectiles to cast twice. Also, I'm using here splintering aspect, and socket with emerald. The amulet, we have movement speed, resource cost reduction, and then either compound fracture or what was it? Wait, this one, evolution. Yeah, I believe both could do well. Well, you can get both. For example, instead of the resource cost reduction, if you don't have resource problems, especially because of one of the aspects we're going to be using on the ring. So we're crafting here bone, critical strike damage, and resource cost reduction. If the movement speed affix is not greater affix, you can also get here movement speed additionally. So everything above 180, it's pretty good. I'm using here the aspect of hardened bones for the additional damage reduction on the amulet. Right? It's hardcore after all. Now the rings, they are both poison rings, poison resistance rings. On both I have life and attack speed, and here we have also critical strike damage. Critical strike damage, as you can see, they're pretty much the same. It's fine if you get critical strike chance, because without grasping veins and bone storm, it's kinda low. It should be generally above 50, so you can get closer or make it 100, right? I tampered here bone critical strike damage and resource cost reduction. Resource cost reduction and bone critical strike damage. As you can see, the aspects are torment and also grasping veins. So grasping veins is being nerfed in the next season, but we're gonna still use it because of the very high critical strike chance here. Okay, moving on to the shield. Yes, it's played with a shield. I believe it's better than a two-hander, especially on hardcore. It could actually help quite a lot. So we have here damage, critical strike chance, and damage reduction. That's the only good shield for the bone build. If it's a blood or shadow build, you can go without the critical strike chance, get life there instead. But in this case, it's a must-have. So it might be hard to find such a shield, especially when you start to tamper it, because we need total armor here, or spiked armor, the passive, and lucky hit chance to stun. Now, instead of lucky hit chance to stun, you might want to get Corpse Tender of Zeiss on one of the gear pieces or crowd control duration. Here I have the protecting aspect, but in season 5 what I would do is put aspect undying aspect here and use prudent heart on the chest because it can't go on a shield. Okay, that's for the gear. We're not using any minions on this build, so sacrificing skirmishers for the critical strike chance. Also, cold skeletal mages. If you have resource problem, you can temporarily use shadow. Right, it's not so bad, but more damage you will get by sacrificing the cold mages. On the golem, we sacrifice the iron golem for a lot of damage. Now let's go over the skills that I'm using real quick. Basic skill does not matter once you solve the resource problem, but while using it, you might want to use aspect of might because of the 20 DR, right? And also this acolytes bone splinters. But when you solve resource, you can swap this with bone prison, and it's pretty good. Of course, imperfectly balanced, 1 point here on living energy, maximum to bone spear. And initially you could use supernatural bone spear, but when you get the splintering aspect, this one is better, I believe, paranormal, right? Hewitt Flash maxed out, 1.2 corpse explosion to increase the damage, use it every now and then when you see corpses, to use fuel by death, and also this thing, right? Flesh Eater. Okay, let's get back to the skill tree. Okay, I'm using here Death's Approach. I am not using Death's Embrace because it's a range build. If we have to use this might be for very, very, very difficult content. Above pit tier 100, like you probably saw me in some videos doing pit 100 plus with exactly this Necromancer actually. But I decided to go with Death's Approach because better mobility can also help not being hit. But if you have problems with close enemies, you can use Death's Embrace, right? Maximum amplified damage, 1 to decrepify, enhance decrepify, opponent decrepify, it really help with crowd control and also stunning the enemies so you can devastate them, right? And also the cooldowns because of the abhorrent. Corpse Tendrils here, and also Plague Corpse Tendrils for making enemies vulnerable. Here goes Necrotic Carapace twice, right? And also Serration, Compound Fracture, Evotion, Rapid Ossification, Bone Storm. Those two things here, Standalone and Memento Mori. This is because we're not using minions, right? Except Bone Prison, but I've been talking about this many times. It's kinda dangerous to use it with standalone, but if you know what you're doing, like using it on a tight corridors or not letting enemies getting close to you at all, it actually works quite nice. Now, what we can do also is getting rid of Death's Approach if we get a lot of movement speed, and also use the Inspiring Leader if we have critical strike chance problems, right? And of course here the Ossified Essence. That's basically it. Not many changes. Now the Paragon I kinda changed completely from what we had before. Well, completely. We actually have one more extra glyph here and those things. So let's go over it real quick. Corporeal here initially for the bonus to magic nodes. The next board is Bone Graft as expected, and here we have Amplified to get the resistances and the damage here because it provides bonuses to magic nodes. We get here the life and damage, of course this and the legendary node and the essence here, okay? Then moving on to the next board, which is Scent of Death, and I have here exploit, but you can initially also get essence here, but I would recommend exploit because vulnerable damage is easy to the vulnerable effect is easy to inflict enemies with, and Since critical strike chance initially, until you solve critical strike chance, is conditional, well, sorry, vulnerable is not, it's better to use exploit here. Initially, you might wanna also get this damage to injured enemies. We're getting here Scent of Death, of course, and the resource Shadow Resistance and Life. Now, in the new patch, this thing here, damage to healthy enemies, will be switched to ultimate skill damage, so we're not gonna get this anymore. It's not gonna be useful for this build, right? Okay, moving on next to this board, it is Flesh Eater, and it is with Gravekeeper. So we can get a lot of damage to elites. Pretty nice, right? If we have resistance problems, which I highly doubt, we'll be using these 3 nodes here. 1, 2, 3 for resistances. Okay. Then moving on to the next board without the legendary node itself, but we'll get to that later on in the video, right? Here we have Essence, and we can actually get rid of 2 of those nodes and get more critical strike damage when we solve critical strike chance. Okay, moving on here with the life node and damage while fortified, also this node for damage reduction from damage over time effect, and then moving on to Wither. This is the last board just to get Undaunted. In this case I didn't level this glyph, but we'll get there probably after the PTR, going back to playing season 4 most probably, because there's like 1 more month till the season ends, and I'm probably gonna push till that and be done with it. We'll see. Okay, I guess that pretty much explains how I will be playing Bone Spear in season 5. So for those of you who asked, hope this helps. Now there's something I would like to note here. It's pretty easy with this very same Paragon board to respect to Bone Spirit, and maybe just change Undaunted to Dominate, and also get rid of some of the bone damage here and this one to be able to get Bloodbath. And I'll show you the gear for Bone Spirit. Okay, we're on the PTR, so here is our Bone Spirit Necromancer. The gear is pretty much similar, as you can see. Prudent Heart here with Spiked Armor, Essence per second, Maximum Life, Macabre Skills, Essence per second, Maximum Life, Armor, and the Hardened Bones on it, right? The gloves, but with core skills and Bone Spirit damage instead of critical strike damage. The breeches to further increase our overpowered damage, because we're gonna get guaranteed overpower, right? Those new boots, I don't necessarily like them because we're losing metamorphosis, but with so much damage that this guy does, it should not be a problem. I would only probably use this build on hardcore to delete the bosses and then respect back to Bone Spear to do the regular stuff, right? The weapon, in this case it's a mace with intelligence, life, overpower, Bone Spirit, explosion size, overpower damage, bone, and also this is Swelling Curse aspect, right? The amulet here is Banish Lord, of course, to get the guaranteed overpower. We also have here a ring with Torment. It's life, critical strike chance, overpower damage. It's fine if it's critical strike damage. A Bone Spirit cooldown reduction, but we can get also the damage if the cooldown is good enough. And overpower damage, right? Here we have life, critical strike chance, overpower damage, Bone Spirit cooldown or damage depending on need, critical strike damage or Bone Spirit damage. It has a Requiem aspect because we are using Reaper skeletons here, and when we use Bone Prison, we also get a lot of more essence, and as you know, Bone Spirit's damage is increased when using when having more essence, right? Here is the focus with maximum resource, critical strike chance, cooldown. So bone spirit explosion size and critical strike damage. This is the imprisoned spirit aspect, so we can get double explosion of the bone spirit. Okay, pretty much the same, except we're using reapers here to generate corpses for us, so we can use tendrils, and also this will fortify us, right? We're using here shadow, shadow mage's sacrifice, and the bone golem, not the bone golem, the iron golem is sacrificed for more critical strike damage. Okay, so here we are at the skill tree. Just respect bone spear and place the points to bone spirit with the upgrades enhanced and ghastly. Also, we can get more points to rapid ossification if we can manage to tamper it on the gear. It would be better to get the bone spear, bone spirit damage on the rings instead of the cooldown. So basically everything else is the same. Moving on. Paragon board is essentially the same, right? As you can probably see. I have here Amplify instead of Corporeal, but doesn't matter. Maybe only while leveling. If you have both, please use Corporeal initially here instead, so you can get the movement speed, right? Everything else is pretty much the same. Gravekeeper here, and here we have Essence. Here we have Exploit, and here we have Dominate or Undaunted, up to you. If you want to be more resilient, you can use Undaunted. If you want more damage, you can use Dominate. That's basically it. Like the changes I mentioned, here we keep this one for the damage, but we get this one, and yeah, that's basically it, folks. There's not much more to add here. I'm looking forward to playing Season 5. I know changes were not so great, but they're kind of minimal. And about the other builds that I played, I would probably not change much to Bloodlance, maybe Sever, Blight. What I definitely want to try is the basic skill builds, like I said on my Diablo 4 Season 5 PTR comment videos and patch videos. So I hope this helps and answers your questions on what changes I did to the Bone School of Thought, so to say. Especially for this guy Necromaniac, I know you like those, and many of you actually subscribed to my channel after watching what I do with bone magic in this game. So hope this was helpful. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Take care.